It's really easy to sound bad when you pick your ukulele, and you hear it all the time, and most people don't even know what they're doing wrong. So I figured I would make a quick video to show you some ideal ways to be picking melodies on the ukulele and how to get the best tone out of your fingers. Let's go. Aloha, my name is Brad Bordessa from liveukulele.com. Before we get started, please check the info box down below for a YouTube discount on my video courses and ebooks. There's strumming and picking and chord shapes and theory, and anything that you might want to know is probably already covered in there. It's a great way to get some awesome lessons and to expand your horizons and really establish your fundamentals. So check them out, and I'll see you over there on liveukulele.com. So picking single notes with your fingers or your thumb is really easy to get wrong. It's really easy to sound bad, and I want to share some ways that you can improve this. And the first thing that I see that's usually the root cause of a lot of people sounding bad is hooking of the nail. If you have your nail grown out or short, a lot of people still think that you are supposed to pick by hooking the string with your nail and then pulling away. And this is not the case. It's usually never going to give you the sound that you want. What you want to be doing instead is pushing through the string without hooking. And so to do this with any of your fingers, your hand position is actually going to be below your finger as your finger comes down, at least your thumb in this case, which is the easiest way to get started thinking about this. Like the base of my thumb is below the tip of the thumb here. So that when I pick downwards, when the string hits the nail, it rolls off. And that is the release that I get off of the string, as opposed to curving down and hooking. So a lot of times all you do is you just drop your hand and push your thumb downwards and through. All right. And another thing that can cause problems is if you do grow your thumb out, or any of your fingernails, if there is a sharp edge on the fingernail, that can hook on the way by, and the string will kind of bounce across that harsh edge, or even get stuck, and you're more likely to rip your nail off. So as you file your nails, if you do have the long nails, make sure you're getting a smooth curve all the way around into your finger, because if there's any kind of hook action or an edge, like naturally the nail grows with an edge, and there's a corner to it, at least when you trim your nails with a nail cutter. You want to eliminate that. So you file that into a nice curve. It's going to release through the string better. So you always want to play through the string from the pad of your thumb sitting on the string. You start by touching the string with the pad, and then you drop the finger down through. And the same goes for finger picking with your fingers, except usually you're going to be picking upwards. So everything is just in reverse. You're pulling the fingers into your hand as if were like a marionette and you had strings coming out of your palm. You pull your fingers kind of like this. And what you want to do is you want to have your hand behind the fingers, so that when you're picking and pulling, your finger starts out open. You don't want to start with a hook, because then once again you're likely going to catch the string on your nail, and that's not going to sound so good. So you start with your finger kind of pointing down towards the ground in front of you on the left side, and then when you pull into your palm with that string, as you cross the string, you're not to a point where you're going to end up hooking the string. You want to pass over it with your fingernail still kind of pointing down, so the string can roll off and fall away cleanly to get that beautiful sound. Anytime you're hooking, even just on the way by, you're going to get a thin sound. Something else to think about is which kind of angle your thumb or your nail is hitting the string at, because it's going to affect how easy the string can roll off of the finger or the nail. But also, if you're positioning yourself so that you're pointing straight onto the ukulele and you're picking down this way, just the way that the string comes off of the thumbnail, it tends to create kind of a raspy, thin sound. So a lot of times what you want is a little bit of an angle. So if you have like maybe a 45-degree angle between the top of the ukulele and your thumb, the angle of your thumb onto the string, that's great. And same goes for the index finger, the kind of the angle is different. A lot of times when you're pulling through, you're pulling at the 45-degree angle kind of to the string in this direction, right? We can work any way around the string that we want rotationally, but in this situation, just because of how the hand works, we're pulling across the string at kind of a 45-degree angle that way. The final piece of the puzzle that tends to be a little less critical is where on the string you pick. It's going to give you a different tone depending on where you strike the string. If you're playing, even with good technique, way back on the bridge, it's going to be a little more banjo-y with a sharp attack and kind of a twang sound. If you're picking more towards the middle of the string near the 12th fret, it's big and round. And you kind of get a spectrum of sounds as you move from one extreme to the other. So a lot of times people will recommend you pick over the sound hole because that just the way that is positioned on most ukuleles is going to give you a nice balance between a bright sound that pops out and also a warmth to the sound as well. So you can experiment this just by practicing moving your hand. And you can decide where on the string you like the sound of most. Keep in mind that as you do this, where you fret is going to change the length of the string, and therefore your tone comes from the ratio of where you're at on the string. If I'm playing on the 7th fret and I'm picking over the sound hole, if I closely examine the string, this is now the center of the string. And I know that the center of the string is where I get that big round sound. So where you fret is also, if you want to have perfect technique, going to shift where you pick on the string to get a consistent sound all the way through your playing. Not everybody does this. Usually you just kind of set your spot and you work around here. But like if you're playing steel guitar or something that really leans on having a really perfect touch to get a beautiful sound, you are adjusting where you pick as you're playing higher. Your picking hand is traveling with the fretting hand or the bar hand to retain that ratio so that the tone in your plucked notes remains the same even when you go higher up the fretboard. It's not something that a lot of people think about. Where on the string you should be playing, that's up to you. That's a choice thing. Some people like to play way back and get a bang bang sort of banjo-y sound. Some people like a really round sound. It's complete personal preference, but it's something that you should decide for yourself so you're not stuck in one place getting a sound that maybe doesn't work for what you're trying to do and you don't know that there's a better option for you. If you want to dive into more detail on right hand picking technique, you can check out my ebook, Right Hand Technique for Ukulele. It dives into all of this stuff and gives you some even more detail on a lot of these aspects with illustrations and diagrams to help you understand the exact movements and where you're at in space in relation to your ukulele. Check that out. I'll put a link down in the info box below. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Bordessa. Aloha.